Hello everyone, welcome to Art on the Creek. Right away, I'm going to say you'll have to forgive my voice. I have a cold and I'm going to end up doing a voiceover because I've also got the sniffles. So I don't want to upset anyone out there. I'm going to do a review today of the Derwent Shade and Tone Mixed Media set. Now, I love these curated Derwent sets. I have several of them. I have the tinted charcoal and the graphite. Oh, I guess it's only two. But I also have the ink tints and the charcoal sets, the graphite XL, the charcoal XL. I have their drawing pencils that are water soluble. I love Derwent. I have their drawing pencils. I'm part of their color pencils are in my test to see which is the best color pencil for me. And I landed on this one, and I'm so excited to share it with you today. So let's get into it. Let's discover the Derwent Shade and Tone Mixed Media set. Curated palettes, I guess, in fact, that's my first question for you guys. Let me know in the comments, do you like curated palettes? Are you drawn to them? I really am, and it's just, for me, when I see color, it's almost like it's too much to choose from. I love all the colors, and I can't say no to any of them. So when I'm given a limited palette like this, it just makes it easier on my brain. I have no trouble mixing colors and working with other sets. In fact, you can use this with any set you like, but I really prefer it when something is just pared down because, I have all these supplies in other forms. Not necessarily Derwent, but, I've got my my Conte crayons that I had from class. These are the same value tones that we use here when we're learning to draw and paint with shape and form. That's why I was so drawn to this particular one, because that's my favorite thing to do. I think that discovering the highlights and shadows in anything that you're drawing will make you a better artist. And when you can see things, this is what I mentioned in the last members video, when you can see things as the sum of their parts rather than the way it looks. How can I explain this? Like, for instance, let's just pull Padme out here. I think this is Padme. We see a person, right? Well, if you look at her closely here, you can see a shadow over here, a highlight on the tip of her nose, highlights here and on her chin, shading over here on this side of her face, a highlight on the crown of her forehead. So these are the things that when you are replicating that on a flat two-dimensional surface, if you can get those shadows and highlights correct, then you can render a human face or a human form or whatever it is that you're painting. So thank you, Padme. You can go back to guarding my paintbrushes. So anyway, that is, or is that Padme or is that Amidala?
I am Queen Amidala.
I'm just as confused as you are, Jar Jar. Oh my goodness. I'm going to blame it on my cold. So anyway, let's get back to the review. I really, really like these curated sets, and I think they have an awful lot to offer. So let's get into it. Let's see what's inside this particular one. So right here it lists the contents on top, and it contains 7 Inktense colors, 7 graphite colors, 2 tinted charcoal colors, a pastel color, a terracotta drawing pencil, a dark onyx pencil, a bee graphic pencil with a mini water brush. Now, all of these things come packaged so nicely. I really like the box. Number one is a good box that's going to protect it during shipping. And all of the pencils are in that little tiny box there. And I just want to check the box to make sure I've got everything out because it looks like there's something else in there. No, okay, that was just me not seeing things correctly. It was a flap of the box, and I thought it was an extra stick of charcoal. So no worries, this is what it comes with. Now this box where the pencils are, let's open that one first. So right inside here, let's just dump these out. There's 3 pencils that come with this set, and they're so nice. I all of the Derwent pencils that I have, I've never been disappointed with any of them. And these Derwent drawing pencils, to me, honestly, these are the unsung heroes of the art world. They have a huge, huge amount of pigment in there, in the color core. It's very, very thick, and these are just the most beautiful things. They coordinate just beautifully with so many of their sets. Of course, they'll work with ink tints, but the graphitins in particular, both the pencils and the pans, they work so well with those. And let's see, next we've got this other pencil, which is the graphite pencil, and then we've got this Onyx pencil. And both of these, even though they're not water soluble, you can blend them a little bit with water, and they will help to render different levels of shading and tonality in your work. So now whenever you're dealing with these Derwent sets, the pan sets, they come with this piece of vellum, and it's really handy to have because it lets you know which pan is where, because to look at the pans, they can kind of all look the same. Now, just looking at this vellum here, I can see that everything kind of has a purpley tone to it. I don't know how it's reading on your screen, but to me, on this vellum, everything looks kind of orange or purple. That's in fact not going to be quite true. There's a little bit more color variance in there, which is why we're going to swatch these out. But here's what it comes with. With the ink tints, we have Mars Orange, Sanguine, Venetian Red, Sepia, and then we have a Graphitin Autumn Brown and a Tinted Charcoal in Burnt Embers. And then on the bottom row, we've got Tinted Charcoal in Burnt Earth, and those are subtly different, although that's hard to tell on this vellum. We've got an ink tint Sepia ink, a Graphitint Graphite Gray, the pastel shade in the Storm Gray, and I'm really intrigued by those pastel shades because that's also on my list, is the pastel pan set. And then a couple of ink tints. We've got one in white and one in black. Now, when you're working with this set, these they're packaged really nicely. There's a bit of cellophane on the top here. So let's just open this up. It just tears very easily and slides off. And that's just kind of like a belly band on there to hold everything in during shipping. You've got a sponge here to clean your brush. I'm not one to really use those. So, you know, if you had a tiny piece of charcoal or something in there that you wanted to take that out and put that in, of course, you can do whatever you like with this set when you're on the road. Here is the Derwent water brush. As water brushes go, they work fine. They work really well. But I don't like the way that they are assembled. So let's just fill it with water here. You have to pull that little cap off. And we're going to fill it with water. It's just such a small amount of water that goes in there in any water brush, and that part is absolutely fine. Let me just kind of dry it off a little bit. And what this cap is designed for is so that you can close it up and then travel with it again. It's such a small amount of water that it just doesn't matter that you save it. And I think keeping the water brush in two parts is, for me, a little bit inconvenient. So, okay, so let's see. We're going to take this cap off, and I guarantee you, if I am on plein air, sitting on the side of a mountain or whatever, that cap is rolling down, and it is gone, and I'm going to lose it. I know that that's the case. So see how close it is to just fitting in here? If they had just changed the shape of this and just cut it off there and maybe had less sponge, then you could have room to just leave the brush assembled. I don't know. It's such a minor thing, but for me, it is an inconvenience, but it's definitely not a showstopper. But I guarantee you I'm going to lose that little thing. So when I'm using it here in my studio, I'll be really careful. But when I'm out on the road, definitely going to get lost, I'm sure. The point on the Derwent water brushes is always very, very nice. I'm just going to get it wet here so that I can get the sizing out of the filaments. And yes, I could absolutely have squeezed the brush barrel there and gotten the water out that way, but it's muscle memory. I have a pot of water there next to me and I'm in my studio, so I'm going to use it. Here's my other little pet peeve with these brushes. The cap doesn't post. Another thing that's going to get lost rolling down the mountain or lost on a trail somewhere. For me, that's just me. If that doesn't bother you, then, you know, just ignore my little quirks. But yeah, I really do like the brushes. As brushes go, they're very good quality. Now, let me show you how these are assembled. They're two multi-pans of 6. Now you can take things out, and here the little the item itself just came out, but and that's nothing to worry about. You can just put some drops of water in there and put it back in. But I'm having trouble getting the pan out. I know that these pans are sold individually and they do come out. My grip strength is really not good at all because I've got some pretty significant arthritis, but you can definitely repackage these little sets of 6 and trade them out from set to set. So that's one really cool thing about all of these Derwent sets, is that they're very interchangeable. You can customize your own, and these pans are also sold individually. I've decided that this is my year. I'm going to get organized with my paint swatches. So I've purchased these Painter's Diary paint swatch books, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll add these swatches to this book here. And I'll probably make one to fit on the inside of the palette as well, because as we've discussed before, that vellum isn't really representative of the actual shades that you're going to get. And you'll see that when we swatch this out. It's really quite different. Now, I've used a Pitt pen to label this, and I thought it was really quite permanent, but you'll see when we get down to the white that it's really not. These re-wet beautifully. I don't have to have, you really probably don't even have to re-wet them, but what I was going to say is I don't have to keep re-wetting them, which is really great in my dry climate. I really do enjoy all of the Derwent pan products that way. So you can see here we've got a great range of browns, and this white was kind of giving me fits here. I decided to go to a different brush because maybe I had some gray on my brush, and that's not it. It's picking up the Pitt pen that I put down. Let's go ahead and test the pencils on here too, but you can see this great opacity to sheerness of all of these colors in the pans, and the graphites will have some sheen to them. Even when you're working from the pans, the graphite pans really have a beautiful sheen. It's almost like a granulation that shows up in graphite. This is really interesting. Look what happens when we use the ink tints. Now the swatch on top is from a previous test of a water-soluble pencil of some sort. But with the ink tints, you know, right now they look about the same. They look like it's not going to be that opaque. But let's see what happens when we dry it. Look at how much more opaque that got. And you know, that is so thrilling to me. The ink tints are really very special, and I will do a little bit more work with them on this channel. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, because ink tints are so versatile. You can they're like a watercolor pencil, but there's so much more. They come in sticks, blocks, these pan sets, and the pencils. So there's quite a lot of variance there. Here are the swatches, and you can see how lovely they paint out. It's the ink tints really do act more like an ink. But in here you can see we can blend the graphite pencils with that water brush also to get a nice soft blend there. Even though these aren't necessarily water-soluble pencils, they really do blend a little bit with water. Now the Derwent drawing pencil right below this block that I'm working on, that is like a colored pencil, so it won't blend out with water, but you can use Gamsol if you want to blend with that. The thing with the ink tints that you'll notice is that they're advertised as permanent. They're not really permanent. You can lift them somewhat, but the greatest thing about using ink tints is that when you're layering and when you're working with them, the layers underneath, if they're already dry, they just don't disturb and move that well. So in that way, they act more like a staining ink. So let's play with these. We've got the B journal here. I have my mixed media paper. I really like this, and I just got this smaller size. I'm kind of liking working in this square format. It's just a little bit fun. This one is 9 inches by 9 inches, and the weight on this, I want to say it is 93 pounds, excuse me, and it's 150 GSM. This particular pad has 60 sheets, and it is professional quality, so it's got all the things that you'll need to have archival work. I really like B paper. Many of you know that I'm a huge fan of their 100% cotton watercolor paper, and the mixed media paper is also up there on my list. Now this picture here, this is our rabbit that we're going to be working on. Now I chose this photo for two reasons. First of all, it's in black and white, and I'll get to that more on that in a second. But the second reason I chose it is because it's not a human body part. It is a cute little fluffy bunny. So what I wanted to show you is that you can use this set to paint anything at all. You could paint a landscape, you could paint, in this case, a fluffy little bunny. You don't have to paint something that is the academic, this is your palette, so we're going to work on the human form. Everything that you create in art, everything that you replicate is going to have form and dimensionality. And I've purposely gone a little bit sparingly on my drawing here because I wanted to let this set really show you how these forms, how the 3D form and shape and shadow, light, all of it, how it's so easy to render with this particular set. When you've got these basic tonal values between light and dark and the mid-range tones, which are all of your grays and browns, you really can pull out nice dimensionality in your art. And like I said, it will help you become a better artist in general. Not only because you're working with these different tonal values, and you can do this with any product. It doesn't have to be this Derwent set. And by the way, I purchased this with my own money. Derwent doesn't sponsor me. This is just truly my own opinion as an artist and instructor, and I'm just sharing that with you guys here today. What I really like about doing things this way, and I'm big on mixed media. I love going back in with pencil or colored pencil over anything I've already painted or pastels, anything like that. So this set really just spoke to me. What you're getting with this tonal variance in colors and form is a ready-made ability for you to just start off running. And if drawing intimidates you, if anything, replicating something on paper to make it look any kind of, to have dimensional form at all, if that intimidates you, seriously consider something like this, because when you're working with those tonal values, that's really what helps you, and I'll say it again, helps you bring out that light, form, and shadow, because that's how we see things in 3 dimensions. Our brain knows what things are, right? We don't have to have all 4 feet of our little bunny showing, because we know that rabbits have 4 feet. So this picture is just fine to use as a reference because his feet are tucked under him. I did add a little bit of a hip on the shadow there. But notice by keeping the light on the right side, I was able to create a gradient of values, and especially that dark shadow there with the, I think I used the sepia ink there to make the shadow. I really enjoyed doing that. Going back in with a pencil, just using my finger to smudge it and shade a little bit more, really having fun tweaking this. And then I wanted to go in and pull out an Inktense pencil to work on his white whiskers, because I was so intrigued that when I painted with the Inktense in the pan here, it goes on very sheer, but then it dries so vibrant white. So I wanted to try it with an Inktense pencil, and it didn't achieve the same result. So I went back and I redid a little bit on the nose here, and then I reshaded that again. So that's what that was, that roll of pencils that you saw there. So now let's do something a little more traditional. I'm going to draw my left hand. This is something that you can definitely do, and I would recommend that you try it often because it will, like I said, it will really build your confidence. Drawing hands is one of those things that a lot of us skip them, don't want to do them because we get intimidated by them. I know I did when I was very first starting in art way back in the day, in the dark ages. I just drew everyone with their hands behind their back because I thought that would be much easier and I wouldn't have to deal with it. My hands in particular are old and they tell a story. Baby hands tell a story. I think that I was shorting myself out as an artist by not conveying that full message to my viewers. And I'm looking at my hand as I'm painting so that I can see how the light is falling on it. And you can probably see it yourself here, looking down, how the light is more to the right than it is to the left. And the shadows are cast there. Now here we go right through the ugly phase and get things that look too red and too orange. But you go back in with some shading and then you just paint it back and blend it in just like you would with any other watercolor project. And you create these wonderful shadows. And this set just lends so beautifully to rendering the human form. And that's really where this set sings. But as I showed you earlier with the rabbit, you certainly don't need to limit your work to the human form. If you are looking for something to improve your skills as an artist, because number one, drawing is essential to becoming better at painting. And if you're looking for something that will augment and enhance your ability to be a better artist, then I highly recommend this Derwent Mixed Media Shade and Tone set. So if you guys have this on your list, or if you didn't even know it was out there, maybe now I've been able to put it on your radar, because my ultimate goal for you is to show you things that I think will help improve your skills and build your confidence as an artist. So I have a Derwent playlist that I will put at the end of this video, and you guys can check out the other Derwent products that I have reviewed. And that'll be a little pop-up at the end here. In addition to, I'll try and put a link in the description. If you guys have any specific requests of something that you'd like for me to review in future videos, leave me a note in the comments. I'm happy to check things out so that you don't have to be the first one to dive in. I hope this was helpful to you guys. Have a great creative week, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.